Network Security Lab Series, Lab 2, Configuring a Linux-based Firewall to Allow Incoming and Outgoing Traffic, for Lesson 1, about installing the Linux Firewall. In this section, we will examine the current firewall configuration. Then we will install a Linux firewall, which will be configured to match the settings of the Windows firewalls. We will be installing the Linux-based firewall distribution called EDN Firewall, which is a Red Hat-based distribution based on Red Hat Linux Enterprise. Now keep in mind that Linux commands are case sensitive. The commands below must be entered exactly as shown. Testing the current firewall and installing the Linux firewall. In order to configure and set up the services required, perform the following steps on the Backtrack 5 R3 internal machine. Steps 1 and 2 talk you through on how to log into the Backtrack 5 R3 internal machine. But I have already logged into those, so I'm just going to go ahead and click on the virtual machine for the Backtrack 5 R3. Now, we're going to open up the terminal on the Linux system by clicking on the picture to the right of the word system in the taskbar in the top of the screen. Step 4. Type the following command to test for outbound connectivity. So right next to the root at bt:#, we're going to type in ping space 216.1.1.200 space -c space 4. We're going to hit enter. The Windows-based firewall is allowing outbound traffic. Network address translation, NAT, is set up, allowing this internal Linux machine with the IP address of 192.168.1.50 to communicate with the Windows 7 external machine on the public network. Step 5, we're going to log into the Windows 7 external machine by clicking on the Windows 7 icon on the topology. If required, enter the username, student, type in the password, and enter to log in. Now I've already logged into it, so once I go ahead and go to the topology and I select the Windows 7 external machine, which is here on the bottom right corner, it'll already take me to that window and you can see I'm already logged in. From here, we're going to open a command prompt by clicking on the CMD shortcut on the desktop, which is over here on the bottom left-hand corner of my lab. I'm going to double click it to open it up and then continue on to step 7. Right click on the blue bar of the top of command prompt and go to properties. So on top of the window, we're going to right click, we get a drop down, and we're going to select properties. Click the colors tab and select blue. It should be the second to the left, and then click OK. Step 9. Type the following command to scan the internal Windows Server 2008 machine for open ports. So from here, we're going to go ahead and type in nmap, all lowercase, space 192.168.1.100 and hit enter. It says you may ignore the DNS warning message. Currently the firewall is configured to allow incoming requests to the Windows 2008 machine on the internal network, and you can see it lists all these ports that are open and quite a few that are unknown. And they provided a diagram here so you can see how the information is being routed from the Windows 7 external through the firewall to the Windows 2008 machine. We will now install and configure a Linux-based firewall. We will configure it to allow all traffic outbound. We will also allow incoming traffic for FTP, Telnet, SMTP, HTTP, and POP3. Redirect to the Windows 2008 server located on the internal network IP address of 192.168.1.100. So for step 10, we're going to go back to the topology and we're going to click on the Windows 2008 Firewall, which is here. It's shaped like a brick. Then we're going to click PC and then send Alt Delete. Now this is if you haven't already logged in. I do apologize. You're going to hit the Control Alt Delete on the drop down, and then it will provide you the login for administrator. And in the password you're going to type in Firewall and click on the blue arrow button to the right so that it will log you in. After you've logged in, you're going to click on the Start button and click the arrow to the far right and select Restart. So the far right is over here at the bottom of the menu, of the Start menu, and then we're going to select Restart. Step 13. Select the Hardware Maintenance Plan option in the list from the drop-down box and click OK. So this is a shutdown event tracker, and we're going to go ahead and select the Hardware Maintenance Plan, and then we're going to hit OK, and this is going to shut down our machine, and it should start to restart it. Step 14, at the Linux boot prompt, type install and press enter. So right here where we see the cursor, I'm just going to select that section, and I'm going to type in install in all lowercase, and then hit enter. Press the enter button to select English at the language selection screen. That came up quite quickly, so again I'm just going to hit enter as I've been prompted to. Step 16, press enter at the Welcome to the EFW installation screen program. Step 17, at the Prepare the Hard Disk screen, select Yes using the down arrow and then press the enter button. So this one, it says, are you sure you want to continue with the installation? We're going to hit our down button, yes, and then hit enter. Step 18 says press enter to no console access over a serial port. And that seems correct, so we're just going to hit enter. Now it's going to partition. At step 19, EFW will make the root file system and then will indicate that it is installing packages. The entire process may take up to 15 minutes to complete. I kind of went through this lab earlier. It didn't seem to take as long, but just in case, I'll pause the video and then continue on when it's finished. It only took about 5 minutes. You guys didn't have to sit through that, but we're already at the green interface, and here we have to make a couple of changes on these fields. So we got to type in 192.168.1.1 in the IP address field, and as you can see, we just have to really delete the last few digits and change that to 1.1, and then we're going to press enter twice, and that'll take us to the OK button, and we're going to press enter again. Now after this appliance installer, we should get another prompt that'll say unable to eject the CD-ROM, and we'll go ahead and select OK after that. Alright, let's go to our next section, 22. We will receive a message indicating EFW was successfully installed, and press enter for OK to reboot. And as you can see up on the top of the screen, it says congratulations, and we're going to hit enter for OK. You can press enter at this screen or wait 30 seconds and the EFW will load. So that will be step 23, and I'm going to go ahead and wait the 30 seconds. I'm going to kind of jump ahead just to see where we're at. Okay. And we'll just wait a little bit till this is done. It jumped through a couple of screens, and now we're at the boot screen. And we're waiting for, after the firewall loads up to the following screen, it will be ready to be configured. So we're waiting for it to say the release, EDN Firewall Community, which you can see here. Now, in conclusion to this lab, since it's already installed and completed, the Windows-based firewall was allowing all outbound traffic. Network address translation NAT is set up allowing the internal machines, such as the Windows 8 internal machine, to communicate with the machines on the public network, such as the Windows 7 external machine. In addition, the Windows firewall was configured to redirect incoming requests for the FTP, Telnet, SMTP, HTTP, and POP3 to the Windows 2008 machine on the internal network. Linux-based firewalls like Untangle, Smoothwall, M0 NoWall, EDN Community Firewall, and pfSense are commonly used in the industry. In the next section, we will configure the Linux-based EDN firewall to replicate the setting on the Windows-based firewall. Now I'm going to go ahead and go back to the topology so that we can start the next lab. And before we do, we're going to go over a couple of discussion questions. So question number 1. What is NAT and how can you check to ensure that outbound traffic is allowed? Well, NAT stands for the Network Address Translation. And you can ensure that outbound traffic is allowed by basically sending a ping to a device on the external network and seeing if it receives the ping or not. Question 2. What machine on this network is running FTP, Telnet, SMTP, HTTP, and POP3? Well, that was the Windows Server 2008. Windows 2008 server. Question number 3. What tool can be used to check for open ports on a system? You're going to use the command prompt and execute the nmap command. This will list which ports are open on the node. And number 4. What ports do FTP, Telnet, SMTP, HTTP, and POP3 utilize? FTP utilizes 21, Telnet uses port 23, SMTP uses port 25, Domain uses port 53, HTTP uses port 80, and POP3 uses port 110. Well, that concludes our lesson 1 section of the lab. Come back again to the next video and we'll go over lesson 2.